Good morning, AFC Bournemouth fans. Tomorrow, Bournemouth travel to the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to take on Spurs in a 3 o'clock kickoff. Should be a really interesting match. Our form's not been the best, and of course, Spurs have got a couple of wins under José Mourinho, and they're on the bounce, that new manager bounce. But it's a chance for AFC Bournemouth to put to bed this bad run of form, relatively bad run. It's not been the worst in the Premier League, but it doesn't feel good given the games that we've got coming up. So yeah, the table's not looking amazing beneath us, and it's really important we get some unexpected wins over the festive period, some really difficult matches. With me is Jeff Hayward, and I'm going to be chatting to him. He's standing by, and we're going to be previewing the match, and then later on I'll be going on to give our team formation, what we would like to go out there, not necessarily what will happen. But anyway, Eddie has been in his press conference this morning, and it was quite revealing because he was posed some questions about Everton. The role, of course, is not vacant yet. However, he's been heavily linked with that job and West Ham. Sky reported earlier in the week that Eddie had a chat in 2016 with Everton, which Eddie has denied this morning. Makes you think, are they creating stories to maybe aid their betting or the other way around? Little bit morally bankrupt sometimes, I think, these kind of news organisations with the way they do things, especially when they've got separate arms for betting, and you can see the odds swaying based on news stories. Not particularly great. Sky Bet betting better? I don't think so. Anyway, we're going to go by Peter Rutzler's tweets this morning rather than AFC Bournemouth, because they have omitted to include any information about that whole Everton exchange, whereas we've got from The Athletic, Peter reported on what was going on. So, it's Eddie Howe's 42nd birthday today. Happy birthday, Eddie. I'm not going to sing to you. He was handed a Madeira cake at the start of the day by Sky Sports, probably being a little bit obsequious after that false news story came out. Team news, David Brooks is still not on the training ground. Josh King will still be out. Ryan Fraser had a dead leg in the early part of the week, but he should be okay for Saturday. Regarding our attack, Eddie Howe has said, we haven't been as good from open play. It's something we're analysing. We need all the players in the team to step up. But with regards to the weekend's match, he said, this is an opportunity to win the next game. We have to go into every game believing we can win. It's a good opportunity to put last week behind us. They have a clear plan, and I think there has been a shift in possession, a clear shift in how Jose wants his team to play. He did state that there's been no contact with Everton in 2016. Eddie flatly denied it, so there you go with regards to that. In terms of leaving though, Eddie said, I learned a long time ago, never try to predict the future. For me, the priority is the next game, and I never look too far ahead. I never like those very vague answers from Eddie, but those are all he's been given to the media for the last X amount of seasons, and he's still not gone. So, I don't think those kind of comments should really be worrying Cherries fans. In terms of the injury news, Dom Solanke should be okay. I don't think he's going to play. We'll go through the team lineup in a minute, but he should be okay. In terms of Danjuma, he'll be all right as well. And Eddie said the thing with Arnau is building up his fitness levels, but it looks like he's progressing nicely. Now, going back to that managerial distraction, obviously there's a lot of news in the media and speculation regarding players, and also Eddie. Not so much Eddie in recent months, but the last couple of weeks it's been rife in terms of Eddie Howe. Whether the West Ham / Everton interest is distracting, Eddie said, I would say definitely it's not distracting for me. I shelter myself away from any kind of news that doesn't influence the team that I'm preparing to play. I always say if I'm linked or my players are linked with other clubs, it has to be flattering and viewed as a good thing. But I spend no time focusing on those things. All week has been spent preparing for Tottenham. So, how much can he achieve at Bournemouth? He was asked that question. Some really good questions posed this morning. And is there a glass ceiling? at the Vitality, and Eddie said, I think for me to answer that question and say, yeah, there's a glass ceiling, it would be hugely damaging to my players to hear me say that. So absolutely not. It's fine. It's quite interesting the way he's answered that question. He went on to say, I've always had the mindset and approach to my work and to life really that you can achieve anything if you work hard enough, and if you truly believe that, then you can. And that's never changed. I would say people would have put a glass ceiling on us in the Championship. They would have put a glass ceiling on us never being able to get into the Premier League. But we've done all those things. And now we're fighting and playing to create new memories at the top of the Premier League or towards the top of the Premier League. And we have to believe we can do it. And that's my message to the players. So yeah, some really interesting answers from Eddie Howe there. And, you know, some of them are quite media-trained, vague answers, but, you know, that's all we can expect from him. But his concentration is on the Spurs game. And regarding Spurs, well, they were 2-0 down against Olympiacos in the week, but turned it around, pulled one back before half-time before netting 3 in the second half to make it 4-2. It was fairly convincing in the end, but the first half an hour you thought, there's a chance for us on Saturday. And in the last Premier League, Jeff, who is just joining me now, Jeff, 3-2 against West Ham, and, you know, it seemed like there was a new manager bounce there, wasn't there?
Mate, it's West Ham, though.
Yeah.
Sorry. To go 3-0 up, well, okay, West Ham are really poor, and actually, unbelievably, it's the goalkeeper that is affecting the way West Ham are playing, I think. So you can't read too much into that. I mean, he should have certainly saved one of those yesterday, and if he had saved one of those, well, they would have equalised at the end, and it would have been 2-2. So West Ham are a bit tragic at the moment. Pellegrino, I think, could be probably what is about third or fourth in line for the bullet at the moment. So what can you read into that? Mourinho is a divisive character. I have a number of mates who support Spurs very passionately, and they're split into a 50-50 camp. There are those who can't abide the appointment and think it's a disaster. There are those who think he wins trophies, and I think it's unfathomable that somebody from such a big Chelsea background could then go to Spurs, you know, arch enemies of the Blues, and I think it's hilarious that people still think that Mourinho has got the magic special something or other, because anyone who saw the way he was at United will think, gee, you know, he's yesterday's man, he's yesterday's coach.
Yeah.
So, having said all that, new manager bounce, their first away victory since February against Fulham or something, and they are going to be at home. He's going to be out to impress. There'll be a big media circus attached to it. They'll be looking at a home fixture against Bournemouth and think, yeah, you know, we'll rock up and we'll turn them over and we'll win that comfortably 3-4, 5-0. In fact, I woke up this morning to a WhatsApp message from a Spurs fan saying, be afraid, be very afraid.
Yeah, oh my goodness. So what should we do then in terms of our formation? I mean, we know we need to play 4 at the back. Do we need to pack out the midfield and maybe put an extra person in there like Dan Gosling? Because that may be the only option we have if Solanke, you know, isn't fit. Do we do that, or do we go 4-4-2?
Selection's made a little bit easier because we know we can't have Phil Billing. He's carded, he's out. We know that Lerma will be definitely recovered by his jet lag. From jet lag rather by then. So I think you play Lerma, you play Gosling, and I think you play Lewis Cook in the centre, and I think you probably play Fraser if he's fit, because he carried a knock through much of that game yesterday. Maybe you play Danjuma over there instead. Yeah. If Fraser's fit, I think play Fraser and then play Danjuma on the other side and Callum up front, 4-5-1. I think let's give that a go. I think we haven't got a lot of options going forward. It's going to be interesting to see who makes the bench even next week. And I think we've just got to give it a bit more of a go, really. Again, what we are expecting is we're expecting that to be a tough game, and we're probably expecting to get 0 points. So what did Sheffield United do there a couple of weeks ago? They played with a bit of self-belief. They took it to Spurs and they got a 1-1 draw and arguably should have won. I don't think Mourinho will have so much of an impact that it'll have changed them beyond all measure in the 2 weeks that he's been there. So they're not that great at the back. We can get at them. They're good going forward. But let's give it a go. Yeah. I'd be happy. As a Bournemouth fan, I'd be happy if we give it a go.
So I'm going to push you for some kind of prediction then, Jeff. What can you be optimistic about it, or are Spurs going to win this?
So I'd like to be really optimistic and say a 2-2 draw. I think let's give it a go. Let's get a couple of goals. Let's start getting the vibe back of how we play. A bit of verve, bit of impetus, bit of Callum Wilson scoring. Be nice.
Yeah, it would be. I'm going to go for a 1-1. Optimistic. I think it's going to be a very difficult match. The atmosphere is going to be, pretty pumping, given it's José's first sort of match at home. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens during the week. But Jeff, once again, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Pleasure, Sam, and let's hope we're talking about a positive result next time.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and leave your predictions in the comments. We'd love to know what you think. Let us know what you think the score's going to be, even who do you think is going to be scoring. And also, of course, be sure to follow us on YouTube by hitting the subscribe button, and we'll tell you whereabouts we're going to be outside the ground. We'll probably be doing interviews, we would love to have you on the podcast.
And in fact, what I'll do is I'll probably tweet out the location where we're going to be. I think we're going to go to the... what's the name of the pub? I've forgotten the name of it. I'm going to have to go on my WhatsApp now and see what... begins with an A. Antwerp. Is that right? The Antwerp Arms or something? That's where we're likely to be before and probably after the game as well. So, but after the game, we'll be outside the stadium. So keep an eye on our socials. Let you know where we are, trying to get lots of fan content. If we win, brilliant. We can gorge on it all Sunday, can't we? Jeff, thanks very much for coming along. Appreciate your feedback. And also check out Jeff's chat with fellow Spurs fan, not fellow, but Spurs fans, Steve and Mike. You can see it there in the week. He had a chat with them to get their view on José Mourinho's appointment, Spurs in general, and the match this weekend against AFC Bournemouth. So what team are we likely to put out at the weekend? It's going to be an interesting one. This is what I've gone for. I think we can't go 5 at the back because it doesn't work. I think we should just stick to the flat back 4. Ramsdale, of course, Rico, Ake, Cook, Smith. That's decided. And then I think it would be ideal to pack out the midfield. This is probably not what Eddie's going to do, but what we have got is an option there of having 5 in the middle, but also pushing the outside men up to support Callum when needed. So I think Dan Gosling, Lewis Cook, Jefferson Lerma. Phil Billing's going to be out. I think having Dan Gosling's engine would be good. He's such a disruptive character. Maybe not that great once he's on the ball, but I think having him in there with Lewis for the creativity, and then Dan Juma and Fraser out wide. Now that's what I would like. It'll probably accommodate Harry Wilson somehow. However, I think Fraser could be a direct threat. We always know he's got it in him. Hasn't shown it so far. And you never know. Put in a good performance, and Jose may come calling Ryan. So why not put in a shift at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Dan Juma, I thought his last 45 was incredible. That second half against Wolves really helped to change the game. Looked very confident on the ball, had a bit of a swagger. And then Callum Wilson up front. Dom Solanke is available, so I was thinking, maybe he'll go 4-4-2 and just have the 2 midfielders. But I think we do need that extra man in there. So that's what we're going for. We don't expect to be right. Love to know your team formations. Put them in the comments below and let us know what you think. If you're travelling up tomorrow, safe journeys. No idea where we're going to park yet or anything. Probably going to park on the outskirts and tube it in. But we'd really love to have you on the podcast. Either an audio contribution or come on camera. That'd be really good. And if you've enjoyed listening to the podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review for us. We've got our biggest, ironically, the match against Wolves, our biggest ever download figures. Across YouTube, there's been a phenomenal amount of views for that game. And, you know, with the podcast, we can check the download levels, and they've been ridiculously big for us. But what would be really handy is if you could just leave a review on your podcast app for us. I know it's a bit of a chore, and you hear people saying leave a review, and you're just like, you know what? He doesn't know I'm listening, so I'm not going to bother. Weirdly, we actually know who's listening because we got analytics and we can see which people are checking our tweets and stuff. And I don't know, it'd just be so nice if you could just go onto the app. And, you know, we did put a suggestion last time. Neil, thank you so much. And Ashley, really appreciate that. And when we get any freebies, we'll be making sure that people who've contributed in some kind of positive way, Ashley via his voice contributions, and also just for, you know, helping out by leaving reviews and stuff, we'll make sure you're always rewarded for your efforts with the podcast, because it's a collaborative approach. And we often get people approaching us with like AFC Bournemouth mugs, you know, to give away, or just to hand out amongst supporters. Art of Football have been in touch with prints and stuff, and if there's an extra one, we'll give it to our contributors, whether it's a review or getting on the podcast or videos, that kind of thing. So we really want to share the love if we can. In terms of sharing the points this weekend, that's what I'm thinking we might be able to do. 1-1 is my prediction. I was also on Love Sport, did a piece with them. I'm going to play this out. I went on yesterday. I played five-a-side football at Roca. What was it called now? Pelhams yesterday. Oh my God, I'm so unfit. It's so bad. I play on Sunday nights, like indoors, and I'm all right, and I kind of breeze through that. But yesterday, we won 6-5, and I scored a goal. But I found it so difficult. I was practically sick at the end. And then I got a call like half an hour later that I completely forgot about from Love Sport, which is a station in London. And I went on to chat about what I thought about AFC Bournemouth. So I'll leave you with my thoughts from that. And I will see you at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium tomorrow. I won't be jealous of that facility whatsoever. No. Here's the interview.
Well, let's see what Sam's going to say about it. He does join us now. Sam, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. Spurs Bournemouth on the weekend. What are you making of it?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game for us. I think you've got that first game, bounce, especially in the Premier League. I think the place is going to be bouncing. Our form at the moment is not great at all. It's going to be a tough test for us because our form's been pretty poor. We're sort of dropping like a stone down the Premier League table, and it's one of those performances where we really need to galvanise. But I sense it's not the best time to be playing you. So it's hard hats on Saturday, I'm afraid.
Of course, you lost your last two games. What do you think that's down to?
I think formation-wise, we've not been great. For some reason, we played five at the back against Wolves, which we've never historically done well when we play five at the back. Tried to sort of match their 3-4-3 formation with wing backs. Up front, it's not happening for us. Callum Wilson's not firing. Defensively, we've marginally become a little bit better when we play as a four, but when we do anything else, we get punished. Our usual players that people associate with being the usual sort of attacking force that Bournemouth have, I'm talking Ryan Fraser, Josh King, Callum Wilson, it's just not been happening at the moment. And one of our biggest sort of goal threats is probably Harry Wilson, who himself, his form's not been that great, but he seems to be the one that pops up with the goals at the moment.
Yeah, I personally think you've got some really exciting players. And there's two things I wanted to pick up with you when I heard you were coming on. Is one, what's happening with Dominic Solanke? Obviously, he was bought for a big fee and he was a player at youth level and at England youth level I was really impressed with. And I thought coming to Bournemouth would be the sort of start of his career, and he really progressed. I mean, how's he been doing, and what do you see long term for Dom Solanke?
We love signing Liverpool players that end up not doing very well initially. Unfortunately, we spent a small fortune, well, a rather large fortune with Liverpool, so they're probably rubbing their hands together. But I think Dom Solanke has got promise. Unfortunately, when you've got players like Josh King and Callum Wilson up front, it's very difficult to dislodge those two. Now, there was a spell at the start of the season where, because of our lack of attacking wingers, Josh King played out wide, which to be fair, was originally where he was playing at Blackburn Rovers before we signed him, and he could do a job there, and that gave Dominic Solanke a chance up front. And to be fair, he contributed well, but just hasn't hit the back of the net yet. And it's one of these things. I just think he needs a goal to improve his confidence. I think he's done well when he is on the pitch, but it's just trying to give him the game time that he needs.
And I also just wanted to ask how you felt about seeing Lise Mouzet. He's sort of turned into a totally different player at Sheffield United. I'd written him off completely as sort of an average player that wasn't maybe good enough for the Premier League, but he's really surprised me. And I mean, for you guys, it must just be alarming to see him delivering on a consistent basis for Sheffield United.
Lise Mouzet, Tyrone Mings,
oh yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, Tyrone Mings looks phenomenal now.
Yeah, these are players that just didn't somehow work in our system. I think one of Eddie's faults, if there is a fault for Eddie Howe, is he's very stubborn with the way he likes to play. And if there's anyone that's not really playing the way he plays, then they're sort of out the door. And we've had a number of players that sort of tend to come and go. Most players adopt our sort of philosophy and do well as a result of it, but there are some where it just didn't work out. Now the problem for Tyrone, at least, was he had Steve Cook and Nathan Ake to dislodge, which was never going to be easy. And Lise Mouzet, very much in a Dominic Solanke situation where he only got the cameo roles sort of every now and then, but he just needed to work under a manager that's trusted him. I don't think his fitness is still there for Sheffield United yet, hence he's always sort of coming off after 60, 70 minutes, but there was always a goal threat with him. And, he's fast, he's attacking, he's direct, and he's done very well for them. And, I'm really pleased for the lad. It's just a shame it didn't work out for him at Bournemouth, but that seems to be the case for sort of quite a few players.
Are we likely this weekend to see a return to the new stadium? And I'm sure that these two guys are lifelong Spurs fans, Adam Smith and your left back, the young left back that was originally at Spurs and has moved up there. Charlie Daniels moved up there many years ago. Are they still in the side, and are they still starting games?
Charlie Daniels is injured, so Charlie Daniels will not, but Adam Smith, he will play. So I'm sure he'll enjoy playing.
Yeah, definitely.
He'll be starting right back. We'll probably start with a flat back four. I would hope we don't go five at the back, 'cause it never works. But Adam Smith is likely to play on the right hand side. Charlie Daniels would usually be his opposite number, so Adam Smith will definitely be in contention for a spot.
Yeah, Sam, never easy to play a team that do have that new fan confidence, new manager bounce, and obviously Bournemouth, in a mini slump, as it were, doesn't look like it's going to get better on the weekend. But what is your score prediction?
I'm going to be positive. There's going to be a number of players potentially back. Josh King, Jefferson Lerma, who is a man mounted in the midfield. So I'm going to have to go optimistic. I can't be anything but it's not so optimistic that we'd win. I'd like to think that we can come away with a 1-1. So that's what I'm going for.
1-1, Sam. Really appreciate you coming on. Sam Davis there from the Back of the Net Bournemouth podcast. 1-1, he's saying it's going to be tough for Bournemouth to get a point.
Yeah. Good luck to him. Ooh. I'm not sure what he's been watching.
You've changed your tune. You didn't know where Spurs' next win was coming from. Now look, you're writing off poor Sam Davis.
Back wins. Listen, I can be excited, can't I?
Unbelievable.
It's been a long time, Chaz, that we can come on this show.
Wait, hang on, I've just got a text from Sam. Never coming on again, he said. Never coming on again. Unbelievable.